Welcome back, chemistry students. Today we're going to move into classifying the elements as metals, metalloids, or nonmetals. So get out your spiral notebooks, get out your periodic table of elements, and let's get started. Remember, these slides are posted on your Google Classroom, and if anywhere along the way you have any questions or need some more information, just message me and we'll get right back to you. I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. So our objective today is for you to be able to classify elements as metals, metalloids, and nonmetals. Take some good notes, and then at the end there'll be a little recap assignment. So first, why do we have to classify elements? Well, you know, all elements exist mostly in compounds, and individual elements combine or react with other elements to create new substances. Most everything you find out in the world is already put together in a compound. And so classification of elements enables chemists to predict the properties of the elements and their compounds based on their positions on the periodic table. And it becomes easier to study, understand, and compare and contrast the related properties among the elements in their compounds from different groups when you can identify whether they are metals, metalloids, or nonmetals. So let's talk about the classifications. All elements on the periodic table can be classified as metals, nonmetals, or metalloids. The metals are shiny, silvery solids, and they're very good conductors of heat and electricity. You remember the metals are going to be on the left side of the table, and in fact, most everything that exists are metals. Metals are malleable and ductile, meaning that you can shape them and mold them and press them and form them into a variety of things. Think about all of the things that you use every day that are made out of metals. Cars, furniture, buildings are made out of metals. All of the forms that are inside them are made out of metals. Your jewelry is made out of metals, and when they get shaped, all of the electronics that are inside many of your electronic devices are made from metals and metalloids. Now, you're going to find the metals located to the left of the metalloids on the periodic table. And so we have on this periodic table, metals are in light blue or turquoise, metalloids in orange, and nonmetals are in lavender. But there's a lot of metals. Let's take a look at a few of the metals in their solid forms. Sodium, elemental symbol K. It's a soft, dull-like metal that's malleable. Iron, elemental symbol Fe. Silver, that's used for jewelry and for electronics. And gold. This is what these elements look like out in their natural state. The metalloids are solids at room temperature, and there's only 6 of them. They're used as semiconductors in electronics because they have many of the characteristics of the metals, but they're highly conductive. And they have physical properties like those metals, and they have chemical properties like nonmetals. When we say they're highly conductive, is that they work well in electronic devices because not only are they conductive, but they're also non-conductive, which is what calls them semiconductors. Some of the metalloids are boron, silicon, which is where they get that name Silicon Valley. It's not because they have silicon there, it's because they work with it over there. Germanium and arsenic. Now, arsenic is poisonous, but it is a metalloid, and it is used for many, many, many things. Then we get the nonmetals, and the nonmetals are represented here in lavender. And these are gases or dull, brittle solids. Gases and nonmetals are very poor conductors. They will not conduct electricity, or they will not conduct heat very well. They're to the right of the metalloids, plus, of course, hydrogen. Hydrogen is all the way up here to the left. Let's look at some of the things that are the nonmetals. Carbon. And carbon, of course, is the basis for all living things, but it's a nonmetal. Chlorine. Chlorine is in many of the liquids that we use on a regular basis. It's used to kill bacteria, but chlorine at room temperature is a liquid. It can also be a solid, it can also be a gas. Nitrogen. Nitrogen gas is used for a variety of things. In fact, nitrogen makes up the bulk of the air that we breathe. And then, of course, you have argon. Argon is one of those noble gases that's fully stable, but is used a lot for electrical lights and special kinds of equipment that use argon gas. It's totally inert. So let's review the classification of elements. Elements are classified on the periodic table as metal, metalloids, and nonmetals. And the classification enables chemists to predict the properties of the elements and their compounds based upon the position in the periodic table. Now, this was a little short session, but today you have an assignment. It's classification of elements. You'll find that on quizzes. When you get there, you can do the practice first or the preview, and then you can go and complete your questions. You're more than welcome to use your notes in your periodic table. If you have any questions along the way, message me and we'll get back to you quickly. Remember, all of these slides are on your Google Classroom. Tomorrow, we're going to get into making Bohr models, and that's where you're going to be able to take an element and identify its valence electrons, its energy levels, its number of protons and electrons, and its configuration. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, like always, message me and I'll get back to you quickly. You guys have a great day.